They say you never really know someone until you see them with the mask off. I thought I knew Mark. I thought I knew the man I shared my bed, my life, and my dreams with for 5 years. I was wrong. And the price I paid to find out the truth, it nearly broke me. But what I did next, that didn't just break him, it exposed everything he tried so hard to hide. If you're listening to this, maybe you've felt that gut feeling before. That tiny voice in the back of your head warning you that something is wrong, even when everything looks perfect. And believe me, our life looked perfect. Mark and I were that couple. You know the one. The couple everyone else wants to be. We met in our late 20s, both driven, both ready to build something real. He was charming in that quiet, confident way. He wasn't loud or flashy, but when he looked at you, you felt like you were the only person in the room. He listened. He remembered the small things, like how I take my coffee or that I hate the sound of styrofoam. For 5 years, he was my rock, my safe place. We had just put a down payment on our dream house. It was a little fixer-upper just outside the city, with the big oak tree in the back. We used to spend our Sunday mornings walking through the empty rooms, planning where the couch would go, arguing playfully about paint colors. We talked about kids. We talked about growing old on that front porch. I trusted him more than I trusted myself. I gave him everything. Access to my heart, my family, my bank account. We were a team, us against the world. That's the thing about betrayal. It doesn't usually come from your enemies. You expect it from them. You have your guard up. No, the worst kind of betrayal, the kind that rips your world apart, always comes from the person standing right next to you. The one holding your hand while holding a knife behind their back. Looking back now, the signs were there. But when you love someone, you wear blinders. You don't just ignore the red flags. You paint them white. It started about 6 months ago. Small things. Things that are easy to explain away. Mark got a promotion at work. He was a project manager at a tech firm, and this new role was a big deal. More money, but also more responsibility. I was so proud of him. We celebrated with expensive champagne. We toasted to our future. "This is for us, babe," he told me that night, looking deep into my eyes. "Everything I do is so we can have that life we talked about." I believed him. Why wouldn't I? But the promotion came with changes. He started working later, much later. At first, it was just an hour or two, wrapping up a report, he'd text me, or "client meeting ran long, don't wait up for dinner." I didn't mind. I wanted to be the supportive partner. I'd keep his dinner warm in the oven. I'd send him encouraging texts. "You're doing great, love you." Then the late nights turned into weekends. "Emergency at the site," he said. Or he had to fly out for a last-minute conference in Chicago. He was always so apologetic. He'd come home looking exhausted, give me a tired kiss on the forehead, and crash into bed. I felt bad for him. Here I was missing him while he was working himself to the bone for our dream house. I started to feel guilty for even wanting more of his time. I was selfish, wasn't I? He was doing this for us. But then the distance started. Not just the physical distance, but emotional distance. When he was home, he wasn't really there. He was always on his phone, always scrolling, typing quick messages, and then flipping the screen face down the second I walked into the room. I asked him about it once. We were watching a movie, or rather, I was watching a movie and he was typing furiously on his phone. "Is everything okay at work?" I asked, trying to keep my voice light. He jumped a little. "Yeah, fine. Just putting out fires. Why?" "You just seem distracted. We haven't really talked in a while." He sighed a long, heavy sigh that made me feel like a burden. Sarah, I'm exhausted. Can I just have 5 minutes to decompress without the third degree? Please? I shrunk back into the couch. I'm sorry, I whispered. I just miss you. He softened a little, leaned over, and kissed my cheek. I miss you too, babe. Just let me get through this busy season, okay? Once the project launches, I'm all yours. I promise. Promise. That word used to mean everything to me. Now it just sounds like a lie waiting to happen. I held on to that promise. I clung to it. But the busy season never ended. And the feeling in my gut, that cold, heavy rock of anxiety, started to grow. I wasn't a jealous person. I never checked his phone. I never asked where he was every second of the day. I believed in trust, but my intuition was screaming at me, louder every day, that something was very, very wrong. And I was about to find out just how right I was. The worst part about being lied to isn't the lie itself. It's the way they make you doubt your own sanity. It's called gaslighting, and Mark was becoming a master at it. The turning point, the moment I couldn't ignore it anymore, happened on a Tuesday. It was our 5th anniversary. We always did something special. But that morning, he barely said goodbye before rushing out the door. I figured he was planning a surprise for later. I booked a table at the Italian place where we had our first date. I got dressed up. I wore the dress he always said I loved. I was excited. At 6 p.m., I texted him, "Happy anniversary. Can't wait for dinner at 8. Meet me there?" No reply. 7 p.m., I called him. It went straight to voicemail. 7:45 p.m., I was at the restaurant, sitting alone at a table for two with the candle burning in the middle. The waiter asked if I wanted to order a drink while I waited. I ordered a glass of wine and tried to smile, but my stomach was doing flips. 8:30 p.m., still nothing. I was humiliated. People were starting to look. The waiter was giving me pitying glances. Finally, at 9 p.m., my phone buzzed. A text from Mark. "So sorry, babe. Catastrophic server failure at work. Whole team is here. Cannot leave. I feel terrible. Make it up to you this weekend. Love you." I stared at the screen. Tears welled up in my eyes, but I refused to let them fall in the restaurant. I paid for my wine, apologized to the waiter, and walked out into the cold night air. When I got home, I changed out of the dress and sat on the couch in the dark. He stumbled in around 2 a.m. He smelled different. Not like the office, not like sweat and stress. Underneath it all, there was a faint trace of something sweet. Vanilla? Perfume? Or was I just imagining it? "Sarah, why are you up?" he asked, turning on a lamp. He looked surprised to see me. "Where were you, Mark? Really?" I asked, my voice shaking. He looked offended. "I told you, the servers went down. We lost 3 days of data. It was a nightmare. Why are you looking at me like that?" "It was our anniversary, Mark. I sat at that restaurant for an hour alone." He ran a hand through his hair. "I know, and I said I was sorry. What did you want me to do? Tell my boss, 'Sorry, can't save the company, I have dinner plans'? Grow up, Sarah. This is the real world. I'm doing this to pay for our house." There it was, using our future as a shield for his behavior. "You smell like perfume," I said. It just came out. He froze. Just for a fraction of a second, but I saw it. The mask slipped. Then it was back in place, replaced by anger. "Are you serious right now?" he scoffed. I just worked 16 hours straight to save my job, and I come home to an interrogation? I was in a crowded conference room with 10 other people, Sarah, including women. Maybe I hugged my boss, Linda, when we finally fixed it. Is that a crime now? He made it sound so ridiculous, so plausible. And I felt small, crazy. I, I'm sorry, I stammered. I was just hurt about dinner. I didn't mean to accuse you. Yeah, well, it feels like an accusation, he snapped, taking off his tie. I'm exhausted. I'm going to bed. Thanks for the warm welcome. He stormed off to the bedroom, leaving me alone on the couch, feeling like the worst partner in the world. I sat there for another hour, replaying the conversation. He's right, I told myself. He's stressed. I'm being insecure. I'm putting too much pressure on him. I went into our bedroom. He was already asleep, facing away from me. His phone was plugged in on his nightstand. We always knew each other's passcodes. It was part of our no secrets policy. Mine was his birthday. His was mine. I lay there staring at the back of his head. The smell of that vanilla perfume was still lingering in the air. My gut was screaming at me again. Check the phone, Sarah. Just check it. Prove yourself wrong so you can sleep. I felt sick doing it. It felt like a violation of trust. But I had to know. I reached over slowly, my hand trembling, and picked up his phone. I swiped up and typed in my birthday. 0412. Incorrect passcode. My heart stopped. I tried again, thinking I mistyped. 0412. Incorrect passcode. He changed it. He had the same passcode for 5 years, and he changed it without telling me. I put the phone down like it was on fire. I stared at him sleeping so peacefully while my entire world started to tilt on its axis. Changing a passcode isn't proof of cheating, but combine it with the late nights, the missed anniversary, the faint smell of perfume, and the defensiveness, it wasn't a red flag anymore. It was a giant, flashing neon sign that said, "He's lying to you." I didn't sleep that night. I just lay there next to a stranger, realizing that the man I loved was keeping secrets. And I knew right then that I was. I checked the browser history. Nothing. Just news sites, some tech forums, and the listings for furniture for the new house. I was about to give up, feeling guilty again, when I decided to check the saved passwords in the browser settings. Most people don't think to clear those. I scrolled through the list. Netflix, Amazon, our bank, the electric company. Nothing unusual. Then I saw it. An unfamiliar site. SecureChat.net. Username? MarkD85. I had never heard of it. I clicked on it. The password was saved and autofilled. My finger hovered over the login button. This was it. The point of no return. If I clicked this and I found nothing, I was the crazy invasive girlfriend he accused me of being. But if I found something, I clicked. It was a messaging app, a private one. The inbox only had one conversation thread. The contact name was just an emoji, a little yellow sunflower. My hands were shaking so bad I could barely use the trackpad. I clicked on the sunflower. The messages loaded, hundreds of them. The most recent one was from today, sent at 4:30 p.m. Mark. Finally leaving the office, Telling Sarah I'm watching the game with the guys. Can't wait to see you. Wear that red thing I love. Sunflower. Hurry, baby. I've missed you. The champagne is already on ice. XO. I felt like I had been punched in the chest. All the air left my lungs. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't think. I just stared at the screen. Telling Sarah I'm watching the game. He wasn't with the guys. He was with her, right now, while I was sitting here in our apartment. I started scrolling up. Weeks. Months of messages. I love you. I wish I could wake up next to you every morning. She suspects nothing. Don't worry. Just a few more months and we can stop hiding. It wasn't a fling. It wasn't a mistake. It was a full-blown relationship. A parallel life. And then I saw the photos. Selfies of them together. In a hotel room, at a restaurant across town. And that's when the final blow landed. The one that didn't just break my heart. It shattered my reality. I recognized her. The sunflower. It wasn't a random woman. It wasn't his boss, Linda. It was Jessica. Jessica was the real estate agent who sold us our dream house, the woman we had spent countless hours with over the last 3 months, the woman who sat across from me at the closing table, smiling at me, telling me how happy she was for us. I remembered how friendly she and Mark had been. I thought they just clicked professionally. I remembered how many times Mark had to go meet her to sign some extra paperwork or go over the inspection report without me because I was working. They were laughing at me, both of them, right to my face. While I was signing away my life savings for a house that I thought was our future, they were using it as a backdrop for their affair. I ran to the bathroom and got sick. I sat on the cold tile floor, tears streaming down my face, shaking uncontrollably. Everything I believed in for 5 years was a lie. Every I love you, every kiss, every promise about our future, it was all fake. He didn't just cheat on me. He made a fool out of me. He brought his mistress into the biggest moments of our lives and let her smile in my face. At that moment, the sadness started to fade. And something else started to take its place. Something hot and cold and sharp. Anger. Pure, white-hot rage. I heard the front door open downstairs. It was only 10 p.m. He was home early. "Sarah, babe, I'm home," he called out, his voice cheerful. I wiped my face, stood up, and looked in the mirror. The woman looking back at me was broken. Her eyes were red and puffy. Her life was over. But I couldn't let him see that. Not yet. I had the evidence. I knew the truth. I could go downstairs right now, scream at him, show him the messages, and end it all tonight. But that would be too easy, too quick. He deserved more than just a breakup. He deserved to feel what I was feeling right now. He deserved to have his perfect little world, the one he built on my back, completely destroyed. I took a deep breath, splashed cold water on my face, and forced a smile. "Coming, honey," I called back, my voice surprisingly steady. Walking down those stairs was the hardest thing I've ever done. I was walking toward the man I loved, knowing I was about to start a war. He betrayed me. He broke me. But he made one fatal mistake. I walked down those stairs and every step felt heavy, like I was walking through water. He was in the kitchen, pouring himself a glass of water, his back to me. He looked so normal, so innocent, the same man I had made breakfast for just that morning. He turned and smiled when he saw me. "Hey, you! I got away early. Thought you'd be happy." That smile, the one I used to think could light up a room, now it just looked like the mask, a well-practiced, comfortable lie. "I am," I said, and the sound of my own voice, so calm and steady, surprised even me. I was just getting worried. "Nah, the game was a blowout, so we all bailed. Did you eat?" "Not yet," I lied. I hadn't been able to think about food. I was waiting for you. He came over and wrapped his arms around me, pulling me into a hug. I went rigid. I had to fight every instinct in my body that wanted to shove him away, to scream, to claw at his face. Instead, I forced myself to relax, to lean into him, to breathe in the faint scent of that sunflower woman's perfume that still clung to his shirt. I needed to remember that smell. I needed it to fuel me. "I love you, Sarah," he whispered into my hair. "I love you too," I whispered back. And it was the easiest lie I had ever told, because as I said it, I wasn't talking to him. I was saying goodbye to the man I thought he was. That night, I lay in bed next to him, my back to him, and I did not sleep. I stared into the darkness of our room and I started to plan. My mind had never felt clearer. The grief had been a fog, but the anger was like a bolt of lightning that burned it all away. He didn't just deserve a breakup. He didn't just deserve to be yelled at. That would be messy and emotional, and he would twist it, turn it around on me, make me seem like the crazy one. No. He deserved a quiet, systematic dismantling of his entire life. He had built a world based on lies, and I was going to be the one to bulldoze it to the ground. And I would do it with a smile on my face. The plan started to form in 3 parts. Part 1, his money. Part 2, his reputation. Part 3, her career. The house was the key to it all. It was the symbol of his betrayal, and it was going to be the stage for his downfall. The next morning, I woke up before him. I made coffee. I acted normal, terrifyingly normal. "Morning, sleepyhead," I said, handing him a mug as he came into the kitchen. "Morning," he grumbled, rubbing his eyes. "You're in a good mood." "I'm just excited," I said, my voice full of fake cheer. "I was thinking we should really throw a housewarming party, a big one, once we get the keys next week." He looked surprised, then pleased. "Yeah, that's a great idea. We can finally show the place off." "Exactly. We should invite everyone, our parents, all our friends, even your boss, Michael. We could do it as a kind of engagement party and housewarming all in one." His eyes lit up. He loved showing off, loved looking successful. An engagement party would be the perfect way to solidify his image as a stable, successful man on the rise. He had no idea he was agreeing to attend his own execution. "Perfect," he said, kissing my forehead. "You handle the invites, I'll handle the booze. It's going to be epic." Oh, it was going to be epic, all right. For the next week, I was the perfect, devoted fiancé. I packed boxes, I called catering companies, I designed a beautiful, cheerful online invitation with a picture of us smiling in front of the new house. Underneath, the caption read, "Celebrating our new home and our new future." While I did all this, I was also working. In the dead of night, I would go to the shared laptop. The first thing I did was dive into our finances. The down payment for the house, a staggering $80,000, had been transferred from our joint savings account to an escrow account held by Jessica's real estate agency. I printed the statement. I saw the transfer date. I then found the purchase agreement we both signed. I spent hours reading the fine print, my new best friends becoming words like fiduciary duty, breach of contract, and dual agency disclosure. And that's where I found my weapon. In our state, It is a legal requirement for a real estate agent to disclose any personal relationship that could represent a conflict of interest. Jessica was our agent. She had a legal and ethical duty to act in our best interest. Her secret relationship with Mark wasn't just immoral, it was illegal. She had breached her fiduciary duty, and that meant the entire sale agreement was potentially voidable. My heart hammered in my chest. This was bigger than I thought. This wasn't just about getting my half of the money back. This was everything. But I needed more proof. The chat logs were damning, but they were digital. He could claim he was hacked. He could deny it. I needed something concrete, something irrefutable. My chance came 2 days before the closing. Mark was in the shower. His phone was on the nightstand, face down. I had noticed he'd started using facial recognition to unlock it, but he hadn't disabled the passcode notifications on the lock screen. My phone in my hand, I sent a text to his phone from a friend's number that I had borrowed. "Hey man, you left your wallet at the bar." The screen on his phone lit up with the notification. I didn't need to unlock it to see his screen. And in that moment, I saw what I was hoping for. At the top of his screen, next to the time, was a tiny little icon I didn't recognize, a little square. I quickly Googled square icon top of Android screen. The results came up instantly. Screen recording active. He was recording his screen. Why? Was he trying to catch a work colleague in a lie? Was he saving something for later? It didn't matter. What mattered was he was careless. He had forgotten to turn it off. My mind raced. I couldn't access the recording from the lock screen, but maybe I could trigger a new one. I needed him to say her name. I needed him to admit it on tape. I took a deep breath and walked into the bedroom. "Hey, honey," I called out, making my voice sound breezy and innocent. "Jessica just texted me about the final walkthrough tomorrow. She asked if 10 a.m. works for us both." He heard the water in the shower shut off. "Yeah, 10 is fine," he yelled back. "Okay," I said, my voice trembling slightly. "It's just, she signed the text with a sunflower emoji. Isn't that a little weird? She's been doing that a lot lately." He was silent for a moment. Then he called out, his voice a little tight. "It's just her thing, I guess, her brand, or whatever. Don't be weird about it, Sarah." "You're right, sorry," I said quickly. "Just thought it was odd. I'll text her back." I left the room, my heart pounding. I didn't know if he was recording audio, too. I didn't know if he'd check his phone immediately. But it was a start. The real proof, the final nail in the coffin, came later that night. We were watching TV. He got a text, and I saw him smile as he typed back. It was that same secret, smug smile I now hated so much. I pretended to yawn. "I'm exhausted from all this packing. I think I'm going to turn in early." "Okay, babe, I'll be up in a bit," he said, not even looking up from his phone. I went to the bedroom, but I didn't go to sleep. I waited. 20 minutes later, I crept out. The living room was dark except for the glow of the TV. He had fallen asleep on the couch. And his phone, it had slipped from his hand and was lying on the cushion next to him. And it was unlocked. My hands shook as I picked it up. I didn't have much time. I didn't go to the secure chat app. He might notice the last open time. I went to his photos. And there they were. Dozens of them. Pictures of him and Jessica kissing, in a hotel bed, laughing over dinner, a video of them clinking champagne glasses in what looked like a hotel room. I could hear her voice clear as day. "To us," she said, smiling at him, "and to getting rid of your boring baggage." "Soon," he said, leaning in to kiss her, "as soon as the house sale is final and her money is locked in." Her money is locked in. They weren't just cheating. They were conspiring against me financially. I felt a wave of nausea, but I pushed it down. I quickly selected the most damning photos and the video. I sent them all to my own phone. Then I deleted the messages from my thread. I even went into the recently deleted folder and permanently erased them. I put the phone back on the cushion exactly where I found it. I crept back to bed. This time when I lay down, I wasn't just angry. I was cold. I had everything I needed. The house closing was the next day. The party was in 3 days. The trap was set, all the players were in place, and Mark and Jessica had no idea they were walking right into it. They thought they were celebrating their victory, but they were about to find out what it really means to lose everything. We drove to the new house, the one that was supposed to be our sanctuary, and it felt like driving to a funeral. When we pulled up, Jessica was already there, waiting on the porch. She was wearing a crisp, professional white blazer and a bright, sunny smile, the sunflower. She looked so wholesome, so trustworthy. I felt a fresh wave of sickness roll through me, but I crushed it down. "There they are, the happy homeowners," she chirped, walking towards us. She gave me a hug, her perfume, the same vanilla scent, filling my senses. It took every ounce of my self-control not to recoil. "Hi, Jessica," I said, my voice sweet as poison. "Thanks for meeting us." "Of course! This is the exciting part," she said, her eyes flicking over to Mark for just a fraction of a second. It was so fast, most people would have missed it. But I wasn't most people anymore. I saw everything. I saw the shared glance, the tiny, almost imperceptible smile they exchanged. They thought they were so clever. We walked through the empty house. The rooms echoed with our footsteps. Jessica pointed out little details, reminded us about the warranties for the new appliances, and explained the next steps for the closing that afternoon at the lawyer's office. Mark and I walked hand in hand. I let him pull me close, let him whisper in my ear about where our Christmas tree would go, where we would hang our pictures. He was playing his part, and I was playing mine. It was a disgusting, silent performance for an audience of one. Jessica. We were all liars, standing in a house built on lies. While they were distracted in the kitchen talking about countertops, I made my move. I excused myself to use the restroom one last time. Instead, I walked calmly through the house, my phone in my hand. I had already purchased 3 tiny, high-quality audio-activated recorders. They were no bigger than a thumbnail. In the weeks leading up to this, while packing, I had told Mark I was selling some of my old electronics online, which gave me the perfect cover for the small, nondescript packages arriving at the apartment. I went into the master bedroom, our master bedroom. I knelt down and with a steady hand attached the first recorder to the underside of the built-in window seat, tucking it deep into a corner where it would be invisible. I moved to the living room. Underneath the heavy mantelpiece of the fireplace, a place no one would ever think to look or clean, I placed the second one. The final one was for the kitchen. I stuck it to the back of the large, built-in wine rack near the island, the very wine rack Mark had been so excited about. It was perfect. They would be celebrating here, toasting to their victory, and I would hear every single word. I went back to the kitchen, my heart hammering, but my face was a mask of calm. "All good," I announced cheerfully. "Great. Ready to go sign our lives away?" "More than ready," I replied, looking right at Jessica. The closing at the lawyer's office was surreal. We sat in the stuffy, wood-paneled room. Piles of paper were stacked in front of us. The lawyer, a tired-looking man named Mr. Abernathy, droned on and on, explaining mortgage terms and property taxes. I signed my name over and over again. My signature, usually a fluid, confident script, was tight and controlled. With every stroke of the pen, I felt a piece of my old self dying and a new, harder self taking its place. I was signing away $80,000 from my savings account, my inheritance from my grandparents. I was handing it over to the man who was betraying me and the woman who was helping him. But I knew it was only a loan. I was going to get it back, with interest. When it was all over, Mr. Abernathy smiled and handed us a single, shiny new key. "Congratulations," he said, shaking our hands. "You're officially homeowners." Mark was beaming. He grabbed the key and held it up like a trophy. He leaned over and gave me a long, deep kiss right there in front of the lawyer and Jessica. It felt like being kissed by a snake. Jessica clapped her hands together. "This is so wonderful. I am so happy for you both. We have to celebrate." "We will be," Mark said, squeezing my hand. "Sarah's planning a huge housewarming/engagement party this Saturday. You have to come, Jessica. You're the guest of honor. You made this all happen." "Oh, I wouldn't miss it for the world," she said, her eyes twinkling. The trap was now officially set. The stage was ready. The actors were in place. And the audience, all our friends, our families, and Mark's boss, was about to arrive. The next 2 days were a blur of final preparations. I sent out a reminder email for the party. The RSVPs poured in. Everyone was coming. Mark's parents, my parents, our college friends, his colleagues, including his direct supervisor, Michael, a man Mark was always desperate to impress. Mark was in his element, a king surveying his new kingdom. He spent the 2 days before the party moving in furniture, setting up a new sound system, and stocking the bar. He was so caught up in the fantasy, so blinded by his own arrogance, that he never once noticed the darkness gathering in my eyes. He saw a happy fiancé. He had no idea he was looking at his executioner. I helped him, of course. I arranged flowers, I set out plates. With every task, my resolve hardened. I unpacked the champagne flutes she promised to bring, and I imagined them shattering in her hand. I helped him set up the speakers he would use to play celebratory music, knowing that soon they would be broadcasting his ruin to the entire world. On the morning of the party, I woke up feeling a strange sense of peace. The storm was here. I had done everything I could. All I had to do was let it break. I stood in the shower and let the hot water run over me. I wasn't crying anymore. I was preparing for battle. I got dressed, choosing a simple, elegant black dress. It felt appropriate. It was a funeral, after all. Mark came up behind me as I was finishing my makeup. He wrapped his arms around my waist and rested his chin on my shoulder, looking at our reflection in the mirror. "Look at us," he said, his voice soft. "In our new house, about to celebrate with everyone we love. Everything is perfect." I met his eyes in the mirror. I held his gaze, and for the first time in weeks, I let the mask slip just for a second. I let him see the ice in my eyes. "Yes," I said, my voice a dead, flat whisper. "Perfect." He must have felt the shift, the sudden drop in temperature. He frowned slightly. "Are you okay, Sarah? You seem a little tense." I turned around and forced the bright smile back onto my face. "Just nervous. Big day. I want everything to be perfect for you. For us." He bought it. Of course he did. His ego wouldn't allow for any other possibility. He kissed me, a quick, dismissive peck, and went downstairs to put the beers on ice. I stood there for a moment longer, looking at my own reflection. The woman staring back at me was a stranger. She was calm. She was calculating. And she was ready. The guests would start arriving in an hour. The show was about to begin. The doorbell rang at exactly 7 p.m., and the show began. Our friends started to arrive in waves, filling the empty house with laughter, music, and the smell of wine. They brought housewarming gifts, potted plants, picture frames, bottles of champagne. They hugged me, congratulated us, and gushed about how beautiful the house was. "Oh, Sarah, you've done an amazing job. It's stunning," my best friend Chloe said, squeezing my arm. "We had a lot of help," I replied, my eyes scanning the room. I was the perfect host. I smiled, I laughed, I took coats, I pointed people toward the bar, but I wasn't really there. I was a ghost at my own party, floating through the rooms, watching everything from a distance. I watched Mark, puffed up with pride, giving tours of the house. He was holding court in the living room, a glass of whiskey in his hand, accepting pats on the back from his friends. He was the king in his new castle. My parents arrived, looking proud and happy. My dad gave Mark a firm handshake. "You're taking good care of my daughter, son." He just smiled and nodded. His mother, a woman who always made me feel slightly inadequate, fussed over him, telling him how proud she was. His father, a stern, quiet man who valued reputation above all else, gave a rare, approving nod. They saw the house, the successful son, the happy couple. They saw the perfect picture their son had painted for them. At around 8 p.m., Mark's boss, Michael, arrived with his wife. Michael was a powerful, no-nonsense man in his 50s. Mark practically tripped over himself, rushing to the door to greet him. "Michael, so glad you could make it. What can I get you to drink?" It was a pathetic display, but it was a crucial part of my plan. I needed Michael here. I needed a witness who held Mark's future in his hands. And then, at 8:15, she arrived. Jessica walked in looking radiant. She was wearing the red thing Mark loved, a stunning, form-fitting dress that turned every head in the room. She was carrying a magnum of expensive champagne, a wide smile plastered on her face. She was the picture of a successful, friendly real estate agent, here to celebrate with her happy clients. She handed the bottle to Mark, and their fingers brushed. Another one of those lightning-fast, secret glances passed between them, a spark of shared victory. "Jessica, you made it," Mark boomed, a little too loud. "I told you I wouldn't miss it," she said, turning to me. "Sarah, congratulations. Seeing you both so happy in this house, it's why I love my job." I smiled back, a cold, sharp smile that didn't reach my eyes. "We couldn't have done it without you, Jessica. In fact, you've been essential." For the next hour, I let them enjoy it. I let them bask in the glory of their lies. I watched them circle each other, never too close, but always aware of where the other was. I watched Mark laugh and tell stories. I watched Jessica charm our friends and his parents. They were untouchable. They had won. Finally, the moment came. The house was full, buzzing with about 50 people. Mark, flushed with alcohol and success, clinked a fork against his glass to get everyone's attention. "Everyone, can I have your attention for a minute?" he called out. The room quieted down. He pulled me to his side, wrapping his arm possessively around my waist. I stood there, pliant and smiling, my heart beating a slow, steady rhythm. Showtime. First of all, he began, his voice filled with emotion. "Thank you all for coming. It means the world to Sarah and me to have all our favorite people here to celebrate this moment. This house, it's more than just a house. It's the foundation of our future, a future I get to build with the most incredible woman I have ever met." He looked down at me, his eyes shining. It was a masterful performance. People awed. His mother dabbed at her eyes. "To Sarah, for her trust, for her support, and for her love. None of this would be possible without her. And to our future. He leaned in to kiss me. I turned my head just enough so the kiss landed on my cheek. And finally, he said, turning back to the crowd, a special thanks to the woman who made this dream a reality, our realtor and our friend, Jessica. Thank you. Everyone applauded. Jessica beamed, giving a little wave. This was it, the peak of their arrogance. Mark, that was beautiful, I said, my voice clear and loud in the quiet room. But before everyone drinks, I have a little surprise for you too. He looked at me, confused, but still smiling. A surprise? Yes, a toast of my own, I said. I gently removed his arm from my waist and walked over to the new sound system. I pulled out my phone and an audio cable. You spent so much money on these amazing speakers, it would be a shame not to use them for something special. A nervous titter went through the crowd. They thought I was about to play a cheesy slideshow of our photos. Mark's smile was fixed, but his eyes were starting to show a flicker of uncertainty. I just have a short video clip I want to play, I announced to the room. It really captures the spirit of this whole journey. I looked directly at Mark, then at Jessica. Her smile was gone, replaced with a look of dawning confusion. They didn't know what was happening, but they knew it wasn't good. I plugged my phone into the speakers. I turned the volume up high, and I hit play. The room was dead silent. And then a woman's voice, Jessica's voice, filled the entire house. It was crystal clear, coming from every speaker. To us, and to getting rid of your boring baggage. A collective gasp went through the room. People looked at each other, confused. My parents looked at me, their faces pale. Then Mark's voice, smug, confident, utterly damning. Soon, as soon as the house sale is final and her money's locked in. Silence. A heavy, suffocating silence. You could have heard a pin drop. Every single eye in the room was now locked on Mark and Jessica. Mark's face had gone completely white, the color draining from it as if a plug had been pulled. Jessica looked like she had seen a ghost. She was frozen, her champagne flute trembling in her hand. I let the silence hang there for a few more seconds, letting the weight of their words sink into every corner of the room. Then I spoke, my voice devoid of all emotion. So I'd like to make a toast, I said, picking up my own glass of water, to Mark and to Jessica, for showing me the true meaning of the words fiduciary duty and conspiracy to commit fraud. I turned to the crowd, my voice calm and steady. For those of you who are confused, allow me to clarify. The boring baggage she was referring to, that's me. And the money that's now locked in, it's my $80,000 inheritance, which, it turns out, was the real down payment for this house, the house that my fiancé and our real estate agent were planning to share as soon as they got rid of me. No one moved. No one spoke. The party was over. The ruin had just begun. For about 10 seconds, the world stood still. It was like a photograph of a disaster, a perfect moment of shared shock. Then the photograph came to life. The first sound was a glass shattering. Jessica, her face a mask of horror, had dropped her champagne flute. It exploded on the freshly painted floor, a fitting sound for our life doing the same. Then chaos. People started talking at once, a low murmur that grew into a roar of disbelief. Mark's mother let out a little sob. My own mother rushed to my side, her face a mixture of fury and concern. Mark finally moved. He lunged for the sound system, for my phone, trying to cut the audio, but it was too late. The damning words had already been spoken. Sarah? What is this? What are you doing?" He stammered, his eyes wild. He was looking for a way out, a way to spin this. "This is a joke, right? Some kind of sick joke." "Does it sound like a joke, Mark?" I asked, my voice echoing in the suddenly silent room. All eyes turned to Jessica. She was backing away, shaking her head, trying to find words. I don't know what that was. It's fake. It's been edited." But the panic in her eyes told everyone the truth. The most powerful moment, the one I will never forget, came from two people. First, Mark's father, a man I had never seen show much emotion. He walked slowly across the room, his face grim, and stood in front of his son. He didn't yell, he didn't scream. He just looked at Mark with a profound, bone-deep disappointment. "You are a disgrace to this family," he said, his voice low and guttural. Then he turned and walked out the door, his wife scrambling to follow. Second was Michael, Mark's boss. He had been standing by the fireplace, listening intently. He walked over to me, completely ignoring Mark and Jessica. He looked me straight in the eye and said, "I am so sorry you had to go through this. What he's done is despicable." Then he turned to Mark, and his expression was pure ice. "Don't bother coming into the office on Monday or ever. We'll mail you your things." And just like that, he left. Mark's career, the thing he had sacrificed everything for, sacrificed me for, was destroyed in less than 30 seconds. The party dissolved after that. People left quickly, avoiding eye contact, not knowing what to say. It was a mass exodus of shame and shock. My friends hugged me tightly, whispering words of support, while his friends just slunk out the door, refusing to look at him. Within 15 minutes, the house was empty. It was just me, Mark, and Jessica, standing amidst the ruins of the party. The half-eaten food, the abandoned drinks, the shattered glass on the floor. Mark finally looked at me, his face crumpled in defeat. "Sarah, please, we can fix this." "No, Mark," I said, feeling nothing but a vast, empty calm. "There's nothing left to fix. You broke it all." My father, who had been standing silently by the door, stepped forward. "I think it's time for you both to leave my daughter's house," he said, his voice leaving no room for argument. That night was just the beginning of their downfall. The party was the explosion. The fallout lasted for months. The very next Monday, I was back in Mr. Abernathy's office, this time with a new, much more aggressive lawyer. We presented the evidence, the chat logs, the photos, and the audio recordings from the hidden devices I had retrieved from the house later that night. Those recorders had picked up Mark and Jessica celebrating after I had gone to bed the night before the party, openly discussing their plans to sell the house in a year and split the profits after leading Sarah on for a little longer. The case against Jessica and her real estate agency was airtight. She had committed a blatant ethics violation and fraud. Faced with a lawsuit and a report to the state licensing board, the agency settled immediately. They tore up the sales contract. They refunded my entire $80,000 down payment, along with an additional sum for damages. Jessica was fired, and her real estate license was permanently revoked. Her career was completely shut down. I heard later she had to move back in with her parents in another state. The sunflower had wilted. As for Mark, his ruin was more personal. He lost his job. He lost the respect of his family. His friends, disgusted by his actions, stopped returning his calls. He was left with nothing but the consequences of his own choices. He tried to contact me for weeks. Texts, emails, voicemails filled with pathetic apologies and desperate pleas. I never responded. I blocked his number and moved on. I had already said everything I needed to say. He was left speechless, a ghost in a life he had burned to the ground. And the house? Our dream house? I never stepped foot in it again. The agency took it back and resold it. To me, it was never a home. It was just a stage for the final act of a tragedy. It's been a year now. The anger is gone. The hurt has faded into a scar that reminds me of a battle I survived. I didn't get revenge to be cruel. I did it for justice. I did it because he and Jessica counted on me being a quiet, heartbroken victim. They never expected me to fight back. They never expected me to be the one holding the evidence that would destroy them. The moral of this story isn't about revenge. It's about truth. It's about listening to that little voice in your gut that tells you when something is wrong. For so long, I let Mark's lies make me doubt myself, make me feel crazy. But your intuition is a powerful thing. It's your soul's way of looking out for you. Never, ever ignore it. Betrayal can break you. It can shatter your world and the person you thought you were. But you get to decide what you build from the pieces. You can stay shattered on the floor, or you can use those sharp, broken pieces to carve out a new future, a stronger you. He thought he was taking everything from me, but in the end, he gave me the greatest gift of all. He gave me my life back, and he showed me a strength I never knew I had. And for that, I will never have to thank him. Thank you for being a part of this story today. Betrayal is a lonely and dark road, but stories like this remind us that we are never truly alone and that strength often comes from the deepest pain. If this story of justice resonated with you, please show your support by hitting the like button. It tells YouTube that these stories matter and helps them reach more people who need to hear them. And to make sure you never miss another story of truth being brought to light, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. This is a community for survivors, and we have many more stories to tell. Finally, you never know who in your life might be feeling lost or betrayed. Share this video. It could be the one thing that gives them the strength to keep fighting. I want to hear from you in the comments. Have you ever had a gut feeling that turned out to be right? Let's talk. Until the next story, stay strong.